Hello, and you're watching the History Fella channel. In this video we're looking at John Brown. John Brown was born on May the 9th, 1800 and would die on December the 2nd, 1859. John Brown was a prominent leader in the American Abolitionist movement in the decades preceding the Civil War. First reaching national prominence in the 1850s, for his radical abolitionism and fighting in bleeding Kansas, Brown was captured, tried, and executed by the Commonwealth of Virginia for a raid and incitement of slave rebellion at Harper's Ferry in 1859. An evangelical Christian of strong religious convictions, Brown was profoundly influenced by the Puritan faith of his upbringing. He believed that he was an instrument of God, raised to strike the death blow to American slavery, a sacred obligation. Brown was the leading exponent of violence in the American abolitionist movement, believing it was necessary to end American slavery after decades of peaceful efforts had failed. Brown said that working to free the enslaved, he was following Christian ethics, including the Golden Rule and the Declaration of Independence, which states that all men are created equal. He stated that in his view, these two principles meant the same thing. Brown first gained national attention when he led an anti-slavery volunteers and his sons during the bleeding Kansas crisis of the late 1850s, a state-level civil war over whether Kansas would enter the Union as a slave state or a free state. He was dissatisfied with the abolitionist pacifism, saying of pacifists, "These men are all talk. What we need is action." In May 1856, Brown and his sons killed 5 supporters of slavery in the Pottawatomie Massacre, a response to the sacking of Lawrence by pro-slavery forces. Brown then commanded anti-slavery forces at the Battle of Black Jack and the Battle of Osawatomie. In October 1859, Brown led a raid on the Federal Armory at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, which would become eventually West Virginia, intending to start a slavery liberation movement that would spread south. He had prepared a provisional constitution for the revised slavery-free United States that he'd hoped to bring about. He seized the armory, but 7 people were killed and 10 or more were injured. Brown intended to arm slaves with weapons from the armory, but only a few slaves joined his revolt. Those of Brown's men who had not fled were killed or captured by local militia and U.S. Marines, the latter led by Robert E. Lee. Brown was tried for treason against the Commonwealth of Virginia, the murder of 5 men, and inciting a slave insurrection. He was found guilty of all charges and was hanged on December the 2nd, 1859, the first person executed for treason in the history of the United States. The Harper's Ferry raid and Brown's trial, both covered extensively in national newspapers, escalated tensions that in the next year led to the South's long-threatened secession and the American Civil War. Southerners feared that others would soon follow in Brown's footsteps, encouraging and arming slave rebellions. He was a hero and an icon in the North. Union soldiers marched to the new song, John Brown's Body, that portrayed him as a heroic martyr. Brown has been variously described as a heroic martyr and visionary, and as a madman and a terrorist.